Hello and welcome to another edition of Andy Shed Live. This is Series 8, Episode 19 for Sunday, the 9th of May 2021. Hello everybody, welcome to the show. How are you today? I hope you're having a good one. We are with you once again for another Sunday, another Sunday evening. Hang on, I've got a bit of howl around there. That's better. I've stopped it now. And the question is, are we in sync today? That's the question that's on everybody's lips at the moment. So I'm just going to try and check, make sure we're fairly in sync. I think we are. I think we're reasonably there. So that's looking pretty good to me. Hello to everybody who is in the chat. Hello to Jimmy, Dominic, Wesley, Christopher and Paul. Hello, good evening all of you. Hope you've had a good week. I'm just getting myself sorted out. It's been a bit hectic here this week. A little bit crazy, shall we say. Yeah, it's been going absolutely mad. Now, next week, while I remember this, next week, we may be a little bit late on next week because I'm actually going to a stationary engine rally next Sunday. So might be a little bit late. We might be on time, but we might be late. So if we're not on at 6 o'clock next week, don't panic. We'll be coming on for some sort of show at some point as the day progresses. Dominic's there in the chat. He said it seems the UK rail network is in disarray for the next week or so. Yes, it does. For those of you that don't know about this story, what has basically happened is Hitachi, who have built a lot of the UK's trains in recent years, have had discovered in the bogies of some of their rolling stock some hairline cracks, which means that these trains with the hairline cracks in the bogies have had to be taken out of service as it's a safety issue. Now, there are so many operators in the UK that run Hitachi trains at the minute. South Eastern do. I think pretty much almost everybody does. LNER do. And Great Western do. And basically these Hitachi trains have all had to come out of service. So if you want to get anywhere by train in the UK at the minute, by sort of intercity train, long distance train, you're kind of screwed, I'm afraid. But the little stopping trains are still working because they're not Hitachi. Bring back the Pacers. That's what I say. Bring back the Pacers. Fat Hobbit's here as well. He says, hello, sorry I've missed the last 2 sessions. Not to worry, Fat Hobbit, not to worry. He says, I've got a ticket booked on one of the Hitachi trains down to Penzance in a couple of weeks. Hope it's sorted out by then. Yeah, you might get a HST or something if you get lucky. I have to say, these Hitachi trains, the ones that South Eastern use, which were some of the first ones to go into service. I went on one when they were doing the preview service down High Speed 1 into Kent from St Pancras in London, and I was really impressed with it because it set off out of St Pancras in London. I think there was only me on it because it was what they called the preview service when they just launched them, or maybe just before they'd officially launched them, but they were actually running them. And I was going to see a friend of mine in Kent, so I went down to think it was Ashford or somewhere on it. And it set off out of St Pancras Station, and it was like being fired out of a gun. You were sat in your seat, and it sort of pulled you into your seat. The acceleration of it, it was phenomenal, and I was quite impressed with that. But obviously, the engineering underneath them seems to have a bit to be desired, because I say they've got hairline cracks in the bogies. So yeah, might not be brilliant. We'll have to wait and see what happens with them, and we'll keep you informed of what's going on with all those Hitachi trains. Right, time for a little bit of housekeeping, as we always do here on a Sunday evening. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us on the show, you can get in touch with us initially through the website andyshed.coalpress.net. That's the way to do it. If you want to tell us about any dodgy trains or anything, that is the way to do it initially. Dominic says the ones on the LNER and GWR have awful ironing board seats. He says, I go via other routes to avoid travelling on them these days. I don't blame you. And Paul says we'll be going a few hundred yards up the road to a what? A field bridge. Oh, a field bridge to see the Flying Scotsman come past on the way to Brighton in a week or so. Cool. Excellent. So yeah, everybody's doing trains tonight. Everybody's doing trains. I'm still not getting on a train. Too many people on trains. I'm still not getting on a train at the minute. I think it's still far too dangerous to go on any kind of public transport. Where I am in the Midlands, the COVID rates are going up. In sort of South Yorkshire area, which I'm next door to, the COVID rates are on the rise again, which of course we all knew when they started opening things up. They would do, wouldn't they? Because people can't be trusted. People cannot stand 2 metres apart. It ought to be the easiest thing in the world to stay 2 metres apart, but people cannot manage it. They are being so stupid, because they've now been told in the UK that 6 people can meet up outside. But what they haven't grasped is, even though you're meeting up, you've still got to stay 2 metres apart. And of course the idiots haven't grasped that. And yes, if you're one of those people that sat round a pub table and you're not 2 metres apart, yes, you are an idiot. Because well, I'm just thoroughly sick of going round and round in circles with it. As soon as you give people an inch, they take a yard. I had to go to Wickes the other day to go and get some building materials, and people were pushing past you, in your face, everything. I ended up getting a 2 metre long piece of plastic pipe out of Wickes, so I could hold it like this and prod people with it. Give them a good prod in the stomach. They soon shift out the way. Right, okie dokie. Right, what are we getting on with today? That's my rant for the day. For day over. That is. What are we getting on with today? All sorts on the list of things to do today. We will finish off doing this phone that I've got here. This red one. This that I started doing last week. This, which is actually one of those. It always fools me which way around I have to move this. That's it. So I can actually get it in the front of the camera. One of those. We've still got to put a line cord on it. On that. So we will have a go at that tonight. If I can get the case off it and back onto it again. Which if you were watching last week, you would have seen I had trouble with. Wesley's in the chat. He says, I couldn't imagine going to a pub at the moment. No, neither could I, Wesley. I'll tell you something. it will be, you will measure it in years, not months. You will measure it in years before I will go to a pub, restaurant, cinema, any of those kind of things. I'm not prepared to do it anytime soon. Paul says, I've got a new old stock dial on the way to finish my refurbishment of my Siemens Ivory pyramid phone. It was fire damaged when I got it, but looks as good as new now. But the phone was fire damaged. Yeah, Dominic says they look good in ivory. Yeah, they do look good in ivory. They're not actually Bakelite, are they, when they're ivory? There's some other oddball thing when they're ivory. And it degrades. The kind of plastic they're made out of degrades. It does weird things. So if you've got one that looks okay, you've done quite well. So, yeah. Right. Okie dokie. Shall we see if we can get this together then? Right, I just don't know what I'm doing today. I'm just not with it at all today. Right, where are we? Where's the camera? Right. Adjust my camera slightly. There we go. I could be getting a bit of light on the subject as well. Bear with me. Bear with me just 1 second. Now let the camera settle down again, and I should have a bit of light on the subject there. So, as you know, we started doing this last week. Now somebody was asking me as well about, I think it was in the comments, somebody asked, and I can't remember who it was that asked, so my apologies to whoever it was for not remembering who it was, about fitting these back on. Said, how can you wire those back on? Well, basically you wire one of those through in the modern way. So I will show you what you need to do that. First thing, of course, is get the case off, and to get the case off we're going to take the finger wheel off because it's just way easier that way. So finger wheel off, etc, etc. Handset off the hook, the 2 screws out that are in here. Let's hope we can get this one back in later because this is the one I had trouble with last week. And then just lift the whole thing off like that. And we'll put the case out of the way for a minute, and there we have it. And as you'll see, it's all converted there to the modern plug and socket system for the UK. So basically what we've done there is we have done this conversion. We've done that. So that's where all your wires and things should go. And what we're interested in at the moment is the bottom, where there's a green, blue, red and white wire that go to where it says BT plug and socket. So that's what we're interested in here today. So, okay. So what we're going to do today, we are going to wire in not a normal cord like we would do, but we are going to wire in one of these instead. Okay, I'm going to put one of these in, and if you look at this, if I can untangle it, this is an original line cord. If I untangle it, you will see you've still got the same colours in here. You've still got blue, green, red and white. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to wire it up exactly as it was in that diagram. Okay, because again, blue, green, red and white in that diagram. So we're going to do that. I'm going to wire it as it was on there. Okay, so first thing to do is just lift that out. And I'm going to untwist those. The GPOs seem to twist the wires up for some reason I've never been able to fathom. But I untwist them because I think it puts stress on the wires having them twisted. So we're going to wire, as it were, on that that diagram that we had. So let's have another look at it. So there we go. So we want blue to T6, red to T8, and white to T18. So we'll go blue to T6, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. There, like so. If I turn it around like that, you can see a bit better. Blue to T6, red to T8, which is there, and I see T9's loose as well. Just noticed it, so I'll tighten that up while we're there. And white to T18. White, and in here to T18. Now, they are the only wires that do anything in a normal setup. Your red and your white are your two sides of your line, basically. They are your line. But because you're on the inside of a GPO master socket that's got a capacitor in the socket and that, because you're on the inside or behind a GPO master socket, you've got a separate ringer wire, and that's the blue one. Okay, so green doesn't do anything. Okay, green doesn't do anything. So we park it on T15. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 here. As you can see in this, because this is a plastic based phone, it's not got the circuit board, you can see I'm parking that on there, and you can see there's absolutely nothing wired at all to either T11, 12, 13, 14 or 15. There's nothing wired up to them. So I'm just going to park that on T15 just to get it out of the way, just so it's not rattling around inside the phone. And then put this back on. Now, the curly cord wires for the handset, basically all this end of the board. The line cord wires are all at that end of the board. For some reason, it is normal practice to swap them over. So have I done this wrong? So that wants to go through there, really. No, it doesn't. So that goes through there, and the line cord comes this side. So if I leave that out, you can see that they are actually going to be crossed over. Okay, can you see that the wires from the handset go to that side, the wires from across here from the line cord go to this side. That's the standard way round of doing it. Don't ask me why. You can do it the other way around if you want. If you want the receiver to sit on the rest the other way around, you can do it that way if you want, but that's the standard way around of doing it for the GPO. So we've done that, so we've wired that just as we would if this line cord had got a plug and socket on the end of it. Okie dokie. So what we'll do now is we'll put the case back on. Now this is where I had trouble last week. So we'll see how I get on with it this week. So wish me luck. Here I go. So turn it around. There. And that one like that. Right. That seems to be on. The problem I was having last week was this side of the case wasn't fitting properly. Oh, it's gone on a lot easier this week. Is that one going to do up as well? Oh yeah. What a difference a week makes. Right, so that's all gone together. Right, before we go any further with this, I'm thinking I might have a bit of a polish. People often ask me what I polish them with. You can buy very expensive Greygate polish off the internet and that. People say, oh, use this Greygate polish. It's what the GPO used to use, it's very expensive. Well, I can't imagine a GPO engineer polishing a phone. I certainly never saw anybody do it. But what I use is automotive T-cut, which is basically like Brasso. Or like Brasso used to be, because I'm not sure if they've changed Brasso or not. But T-cut original. And it smells like Brasso. Disgusting. And when you get it out on a bit of rag, you just put the bottle, you see, it also looks like Brasso. It's a bit watery this, but you just put a bit of that on the phone and give it a bit of a rub. It'll not make a vast difference to this one because it's not bad in the first place. Look, it kind of goes on and it's kind of smeary and streaky, and you get a clean bit of your rag and just buff it up. Knocking things around on the desk. So there you go. So if you're going to polish all of it, that's basically what you do. Over all of that there. Right, turn it around a bit so it doesn't get in the lights so much and dazzle in the lights. And I found the holy grail for phone restorers. I found one of these, what they call dial opals, to go in the middle of the dial for this. But this is a bit, it looks a bit scratchy in that, So again, we'll go back to the rag, back to the old teacup, and you can polish them. With teacup. Remember to do both sides of it. Probably all the scratches are on the outside of it, but there might be something on the inside too. Then get a clean bit of your rag. Not that I could find a clean bit on this rag. I've been using this quite a lot. This rag, because it's a good soft one. What it actually is, it's an old sweatshirt. A friend of mine runs a thing called Clothes Exchange in Sheffield, where people take their old clothes and swap items of clothing, and sometimes they get items of clothing that nobody wants, kind of thing. You know, they get more. People bring more than they take. You know, they might bring 2 or 3 carrier bags full of old clothes and only take away 1 carrier bag of clothes that they actually want. So they end up with extra stuff, and the stuff that absolutely nobody wants after a while goes to get recycled, or I get hold of some of it and use it as rags if it's suitable material, like t-shirts and things. So we're just polishing that up now. I'll do it under this camera down here, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Working in kind of circular motions there to polish that. And it has still got some marks on it, this. But it's better than it was. And I don't think you'll see the marks when it's been fitted. So what we need now is a label. Now here's an old dial label, an old manky one. That's what we're aiming for. That's something like that. So what I've done, I have printed out a sheet full of dial labels. So in best Blue Peter tradition, basically cut out one of these, put the others back up there where I found them, so I know where they are for next time. So we'll now cut out the dial label. And there's a real art to cutting in a circle. A real art. You can get various devices that cut circles, but I just do it freehand with a pair of scissors. So there we go. There's the new dial label. So better put the finger wheel back on so we've got something to put it into. Now remember, this phone is upside down, of course, so the finger wheel goes like that. That screws in like that. And then the dial label on this phone wants to go upside down, because of course it's an upside down phone. The old pull pushes on, and there we have it. That is one restored phone. Put the top on me back on my teacut. And the phone is now like that, but of course it should really be like that. which means it should end up somehow like that. And there you go, that's the phone itself restored, all ready to go. And we'll do the 1001 test, 1001, and that seems to be pretty good. So I would say that is pretty much ready. That's pretty much sorted. Stick that up there. But we've got this cord, haven't we? This line cord with the box on. Now bear in mind this is going to be mounted on a wall. So you can still use this box. I wouldn't necessarily use it on a desk phone, but on one getting mounted on a wall it can be quite good. Because what we're going to do is you would now just fit into here, into the open end of this, a cord with a BT plug on the end of it. So I'll show you what's in here, because some are different to others. Let's see how this is wired, if it's still how it originally was, because originally there was a connection made it across in here. Oh no, this has been altered. Originally the green wire in here would have jumped to one side of the line, either the red or the white, so there would have been a link across in here originally. This one has been altered at some point though, so you've just now got green, blue, white and red. Now sometimes these have only got 3 cores in, sometimes they've not got a blue core in, these line cords. Sometimes they've only got 3, like this one. Okay, this is a different red one. You can see it's got a green, a red and a white. If you've only got 3 cores in it, treat green as blue. So if you've only got 3 cores, when you're wiring the end up at your phone, where you've got the blue wire there going on to T6, use the green one instead. Okay, so just use the green one onto T6 if you've only got 3 cores. Right, and if you've only got 3 cores, then green is deputizing as your blue. So coming in from your BT cord, you've got these colours again, but remember green is deputizing as your blue if you've only got 3 cores. So coming in from your BT line cord that's got the plug on the end of it, the normal modern plug, if you've got your 4 colours, it's just matching them up, so red to red, white to white, blue to blue, green to green. But if you've only got 3 cores on the phone side, in the old phone wire, you match red to red, white to white, blue coming in here would go to green, and then you'd have a green coming in here as well that's got nothing to go to. So that green, you just have to tape it off, you know, insulate it and just leave it rattling around inside the box here somewhere. But that's if you're using a 3-core wire. Okay, because the green coming in from here doesn't go anywhere, because it's the blue coming in from here that you would put onto that 3rd green wire that goes up to your phone. Do you get that? So if you've got a wire like that coming in there, white from your line cord goes to white, red from your line cord, which is the thing with the modern plug on the end goes to red, and blue from your line cord would go to green. Then green from your line cord would go to nothing. Okay? Sorted. Right, so you now put a line cord on there. I've not got one handy, I'm not going to do it at the moment, sticking a line cord on, but basically that is how you would do it. Okay? And then you just put the top back on there. Put the screw back in. And hey presto, phone working. And this thing has got holes in it, so you screw this to the skirting board somewhere where the phone's going to hang on the wall. And then you just have the wire going up the wall. So that is basically how you fit an original line cord. You basically rewire it like a modern line cord. Okay, what are people saying in the chat about all of this? Right, just looking back through the chat. Farbit says, so I could use T-cut to clean my brass fender instead of the annoying Brasso tins with the K-pock in them. That might be a cheaper option. Yeah, you can use T-cut to clean brass. Yeah, it does work. It may be a little bit more difficult than using modern Brasso. Brasso originally was basically what T-cut is, just a very, very fine abrasive. What T-cut is meant for is it's meant to colour restore automotive paintwork. So if the paint on your car's gone a bit dull, you polish it with T-cut and it just takes off the thinnest surface that's gone discoloured of your paintwork on your car, and restores it to the colour underneath. And that's basically what you do when you rub it onto brass or onto anything. You're just taking off the very top surface. So it would work with brass. Now I think Brasso also has some chemical in it these days that also helps with the cleaning of the brass. But I think Brasso works more chemically these days and less abrasively than it used to. I have a feeling they've changed the formulation. I don't know for certain, but I've got a feeling they have. I just get that impression that they have. But yeah, you can certainly use T-cut to clean your brass fender. Dominic says that old dial label doesn't look like it's in too bad a condition. It's a bit moth-eaten at the side, Dominic. Can you see that? Bit moth-eaten. If the phones come with one in, I do try and put them back in, but they don't always come with one in, and that one wasn't in this phone. That one was in something else. But if they come with one in, I put them back in. But what I do when I put them back in, I put them behind the new one. So you've got the new one on the surface and the old one underneath it. Because apart from anything else, it protects the old one, and you probably want to see the new one anyway, because it looks, if you've restored the phone, why would you want a manky looking dial label in a restored phone? There are people that sell pre-manked dial labels, new ones that look manky. I think, well, if you restored the phone, why would you want to put a manky dial label in a restored phone? Because it wouldn't have been manky when the phone was new. If you made the phone look like new, why not make the dial label look like new as well? So for history's sake, I put the old one in behind the new one normally. Dominic says, do you try and keep the old dial labels? Yeah, like I say, I put them back in normally behind the new ones, so you can't see them, but they are in there. Paul says, I used T-Cut to restore my very first GPO 300 phone. Someone had painted it gold and stuck a player's cigarette card in the dial centre. It was so glossy and black once restored, it's still my favourite. Yeah, it works. It definitely works, does T-Cut. It probably, some of the chemicals in it probably help strip the paint as well off that. Dominic says he's going to look at trying T-Cut. Christopher says, I got an Ericsson N1002 telephone in Australia. Yeah, I think you sent me a photo of that, haven't you, Christopher? Penfold 50 says, is that a BT33 terminal box? I'm not sure what the number is on it. No, it says 52A on it, I believe, on the back. It says 52A. Whether that's the number on it, I can never remember the part numbers, but that's what it says on it anyway, 52A. Penfold says, the BT33 is the grey box at the top of the pole. It says it's all coming back now. Oh, yeah, the bigger one, that's the 33. Where's it says, is that not a BT66 you're thinking of, the thing at the top of the pole? Penfold then said, yeah, it is. That was what was the 3-terminal box called? I don't know. I can't remember. But some of these boxes do have 3 terminals in for those 3-wire cords, and some have 4 in. So they are a bit different, and also they're marked different as well. This one is marked GPO on the centre of it, but you can get them marked. I think you can get them marked Post Office. You can certainly get them marked Telecom, British Telecom, and you can get unmarked ones as well. Right, working my way through the chat. Penfold says the dial label looks like Busby's had a peck out of it. Yeah, it's a bit manky, this one, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit manky. I don't know what it came out of, this one, West Mercia. I don't know which phone it came out of. This sometimes they get a bit mixed up on that, but I do try and keep them in there if they're in decent condition. But like I say, I put them behind a modern one, because then it stops the original label from fading, but then you've got the nice modern clean one on the surface for a nice modern clean phone. Christopher's been out on the train, he says. He got the economy car to himself for 5 hours. Crikey, that's social distancing. Jimmy says, how do you manage to print the telephone number on the label? Well, it says there used to be a stamp, Jimmy, for numbers. Yeah, it was done in various different ways, putting the number on. There was a stamp. This one is stamped. I don't know if you can see that, but that one's done with a stamp. A bit like a date stamp thing, where you could just turn the numbers around. And the exchange, in this case West Mercia, that was pre-printed on them for your area that you worked in as an engineer. But now, of course, the way I do them, I use a program called GIMP, which is the Linux version of Photoshop, basically the Linux alternative to Photoshop, and I create them that in GIMP using that that thing there, and what was I going to say? Normally I create blank ones like the one I've just put in here, although of course it's upside down now. Normally I create blank ones like that, but I can create them with an exchange and a number on as well, just by adding that to the sort of photographic file that I'm doing with. Dominic says our house is a mix of BT and GPO BT52As around it, all in grey. Paul says every now and again a dial label printer, i.e. the date stamp thing, comes up on eBay, and that's true, they do actually, they do pop up every now and again. Later on, sort of into the 80s, dial labels were somehow put through a dot matrix printer of some sort, because some of them have the number and also the exchange like done with the dot matrix printer. You can tell it was done with a dot matrix printer, so I don't know what piece of kit they were using at that stage to do that. Dominic says there's a very good dial label generator somewhere online. Ah, right. Cool. I've not found that. Works out. I do mine myself. I print a big sheet of blank ones out, and when I store a phone, I always stick one of these blank ones in it. So that is basically done now. I've just got to find somewhere now then on the wall to stick it so it can sit like that on the wall. Quite a nice phone that. I quite like that one. I'm going to find it somewhere to stick it. I've got to find somewhere to stick it just for now. Let me put it over here. There. I'll stick it over there for now. That's it. Paul says I've saved a few of the dot matrix labels, Andy. You're right. Mainly on the 8746s. Yeah, I've got one kicking around that I can show you. I've got a few labels kicking around. Various types. Yeah. Alright. While we're talking dial labels then, I'll try and show you a few. Few different ones. Because there doesn't seem that there was ever such a thing as quite being standard. Right, do that. Right, if I can get the camera down. Right. So where it all goes a bit Pete Tong now as I start moving around with this camera. Right, I'm hoping all these phone numbers are long out of service, so I'm hoping nobody minds me showing these phone numbers. But there's a fairly standard one, and that looks as if the number is done with some sort of printer. As you can see, it's sort of off-centre, and and that. So it's done with some sort of printer, and that's the standard font that I remember for the Rotherham there. But this one, you see, is totally different. If you look at both of those, if I can move the camera in the right direction, you'll see they're different. Look at the dial 999 and the fire police ambulance. Totally different, and these are both original, genuine labels. Yeah? Then look at this Keithley one alongside. And the Keithley one is different again. Look, the operator is written much smaller. And the Keithley one, if I can get on but all three in shot. Can you see that? So there's three different ones there, and then there's a different number printer there, look, for Shepshed, and that one's got different digits, much bigger digits on it. Up the top here, that one seems to be darker. I don't know if it actually is darker or not. Then here, this one's interesting because the 01670 looks pre-printed on this one, and then the last four digits are done with a number printer, it would appear. And these are all basically similar but slightly different labels. Okay, similar but slightly different. Get them in focus. But then I'll put this one into the mix as well. This tip shelf one, which is relatively close to here, and as you can see, that's the earlier type that I think tended to be used in 706s. I think the others are more later 706s and 746s, but that tib shelf one, it hasn't got the bit across the middle for 100 for operator. You see, so there's variation in them, shall we say? There's variation. Right, just stick my camera back up where it was. And refocus it so you can see what we're doing. So there you go. They're the dial labels on there. Right. What are people saying? Dominic said he'll send me the link for the label generator. Cool, Dominic. Christopher says he's using his new Ericsson N1002 on CNET at the moment. Excellent. Hope it's all working for you, Christopher. It'll not be working at the minute because I've had to switch it off because of getting enough bandwidth basically to do the stream. So I have to turn CNET off when we do the live streams. Wesley says, I was going to mention that I've got a trim phone with a Taunton label on it that was printed. I saw another one on eBay recently from Taunton, which was also printed. Dominic said, in the early days, 200 and 300 series, a lot seemed to have the labels just written on in pencil. The lighter grey ones are likely to be 80s ones, says Dominic. So it says the lighter grey ones are from the 80s. Yeah, I wonder if some of them was just faded. Some of them are definitely better printed as well. That one, you see, is nicely printed. That one's a bit fuzzy. Look at the fire police ambulance on that one, it's a bit fuzzy. Whereas that one, it's very clear. Donny says, I know the Birmingham area. It was common to have the director code 021XXX in the same font and size as printed exchanges like the Coventry one that you've shown. So, where's it gone now, the Coventry one? Oh, the Coventry one, that there, yeah. There they all are. Yeah, right, okie dokie. So there's a lots of variation. I think what we can say from this is there's lots of variation in them. Add that one too, and I've got half of one there as well that somebody cutting off, just to keep the top bit. So yeah, there's variation in the dial labels. Lots of variation. So there's no real right and wrong way of doing it, but I tend to do them like this one, but a bit more centered. But that's the way I tend to do what I tend to go for with it. Right, okie dokie. I'll move my dial labels out of the way now then. These are ones that haven't remained in the phones for whatever reason, or in spare dials that have got put in other phones and things like that, you see. Because that happens too. But yeah, they're all the bits. And, people sell the dial labels on eBay. They'll sell like a load of dial labels that are all stuck on a board or something in a picture frame for stupid amounts of money. Really is a bit crazy. Right, we are getting there. We've done our phone. So yeah, right. We'll be back with more right after this. And we're back. Welcome back. If you're wondering why we do that, it's so we've got a placer to put the adverts in for people watching things after the event. Wesley says, how are the potatoes doing, Andy? Are the potatoes okay? Yeah, they're growing, Wesley. The potatoes are growing. In fact, directly after this stream has finished, stick around. Well, actually, don't stick around. Well, do another stream directly after this one. And on the other stream, we'll show you what's happening in the garden. Because things are growing. So we'll do another quick stream directly after the main show started. Finished. What am I saying today? We'll do another stream direct after the main show's finished, and I will take your mobile to have a look around the garden, and you'll be able to see how things are growing. More videos about the garden coming soon. Also more videos coming soon where I've done another thing on the Chesterfield Canal. I've walked another bit of the Chesterfield Canal recently, so that one will be coming out soon as well. And there'll be a first look at some of these for our patrons who support us via Patreon. If you don't currently support us on Patreon but would like to do so, basically it costs you about £1 a month to do it. To set it up, go to www.patreon.com/AndyShed, and that's patreon.com/AndyShed. You can set it up on there and become a patron for about £1 a month, and you will get your name on the credits, on the closing credits of this very show. So thanks to everybody who is supporting us on Patreon at the moment, because it just gives us that little bit of extra income, and when you support us on Patreon, we give a little bit extra back as well, because there's like a blog thing that I do occasionally through the Patreon website as well, so you get a little bit of extra content and a little bit of preview and stuff on there too. Right, looking at the chat, Dominic says he's looking forward to that. Have to watch it afterwards though, as he's got to go soon. Yeah, so you can watch the Gordon one afterwards then, Dominic. Christopher 2000 says I got a GPO dial label with a dial 999 for police, fire and ambulance. The 9 is for the exchange line. Yeah, that's how my phones work here. You have to dial 9 to get an outside line. So to dial 999, you have to dial 9, wait for another dial tone, and then 999. Yeah, and there were special dial labels done for that. Paul Nolan says Patreon is money well spent. Yes, thank you, Paul. Yeah, Paul was our first patron, actually. You were the first, Paul, to do it, I think. But we're setting up another thing as well at the minute. It's like Patreon but not Patreon, called Ko-fi, which is a different thing. If you just want to, like, the idea is you buy people coffee. That's why it's called Ko-fi. And if you want to just like buy me a coffee or something, you can on Ko-fi. And I do like my coffee and my hot chocolate. Somebody will say, and your pizza as well in a minute, won't they? Right, we will crack on, and we'll continue a bit further. People have been saying to me this week, they've been talking about the test card this week. They said, how did you do the test card? Now, if you've not seen it, where have you been? But last week in particular, before the show started, we normally go live actually before 6 o'clock, before the show starts. And last week we showed this. And I was asked where I got that from and how we did that. The simple answer is it was a bit of Photoshop. That test card, which the BBC called Test Card F, but it actually appears all around the world, that test card. It's been used in Australia and everywhere. That is the widescreen HD version of the test card that the BBC created a few years ago when the HD services started, and there was a screen grab of it on YouTube somewhere and I just got it and took it into an image manipulation piece of software to put the Andy Shed Life bit on the bottom. So it is actually the genuine test card for HD, although it's very rare you actually see the test card on TV these days. You don't see it very much. And of course that little girl on the test card is now grown up. Carol, her name is, and she's all grown up now. She was on the telly a while back. Fungi Phillips is here. Hello, Fungi. Thanks for joining us. Dominic says, "Is that the old BBC test card?" Yeah. Well, it's not the old one. It's the new one. It's what they use for HD, and that. But it's not just the BBC. I'm not sure. I think it was a BBC engineer who invented it, and I believe it was Carol's dad. I believe. Was it a dad or was it her uncle? It was a family member anyway who created it. But it wasn't that shape, of course. It was 4x3 originally, so they had to redo it for widescreen and HD, and that's the redone one. And to keep the squares in it square, it's very slightly redesigned. If you look at it alongside an original one, it's very slightly altered. But that is the HD one that was used for BBC Choice when they first started doing HD transmissions. So that's where it came from. Dominic says they don't close the station with the national anthem anymore either. No, they don't. In fact, they don't close the station because they just switch to News 24 now, so it never shuts down. Most television channels now do actually run 24/7 in some form or other. Jimmy says, I've joined your Patreon page. He said, I can't spell it though. No, neither can I. Yes, Jimmy, and your name will be on the credits in just a few minutes' time. So yeah, yes, thank you, Jimmy. And also thanks to Dominic. I think Dominic's joined as well a few weeks back. So, yeah, thanks to everybody who's joined us on Patreon. As I say, I'll just give that address again, patreon.com/AndyShed if you want to do it as well. Right, that is about it. There's not much arrived this week. It's been a quiet week for things arriving this week. It's not been quite as mad as it has been the previous couple of weeks. I've still got video machines and stuff to mend that came. U-matic video machines. I've still got some of those to fix. But yeah. Who's that ringing me? Yeah, so I've still got some U-matic video machines to mend. I've got to put some new capacitors into them, and that there'll be a video about that when I do it, when I get round to it. So yeah, and I've also got to mend a load of baby belling cookers this coming week as well. Who remembers baby belling cookers? There's a guy who's got 8 of them for some reason and wants them mending, so I've got to go and do that this week. Fungi says, hi there, as usual, it's all interesting, even the spud chat. yeah, even the spud chat. Yeah, the potatoes are growing actually. The pumpkins are growing as well. I will take you on a different stream in a few minutes. I'll take you to have a look at what's growing out there. But what have we got? What's happening with the telephones at the minute? And you can see I've still got these 150s behind me, and this telephone number 2 as well. This one's telephone number 2. This one, it's not 150. Yeah, got to get some cords put on those, and I'm going to be making some original plaited cords for them. I've finally figured out how to do it. It's taken a long time to figure it out how you do those cords because it's not a straight plait. But I think I've figured it out now, and we're going to be having a go at that as well. So if you need a cord for a candlestick phone or a 200 series or an original cord for a 300 series, watch out in a few weeks' time. I'm just waiting for the cord to arrive because it comes as single cords, and then you have to make the line cords and the handset cords up out of it. You can buy them a made up cord, and that off eBay that people have made, but they're about 20 quid a cord, and the stuff that they're made out of, the roll of basically it's actually vehicle wiring for vintage vehicles, and it's kind of covered in cotton, and you can buy a big drum of it, just the single wire, for about 30 quid, a massive drum of it. So I'm going to buy the massive drum of it and then make my own cord up. So I will show you how to do that. Christopher says he's thinking about getting some more phones. He's thinking about getting an Ericsson N1900E244. Speak 021 says, look at my channel and you'll see a replica BBC One globe that I built. Really? Ooh, that's interesting, Spig. Can you... hang on a minute. Can you post a what's it, Spig? Can you post a link to the YouTube page with the video on of the globe, and I'll see if I can show people. Dominic says he's going to look out for that. Yeah. Well, I think we're all going to be going and looking for that. So what did you do? What did you do? You built a replica of the globe. Did you build a physical replica that went in the noddy, or did you do it digitally? Dominic said, I think links don't work in the chat. They might not. Yeah, that's a bit of a if they don't, isn't it? Right, let's see if I can find him on YouTube. Right, bear with me a moment, and we'll do the old screen capture thing, and we'll see if we can find him. Right, just bear with me one moment. Right, so what I have to do is go Internet Firefox. Now this might make it all go horribly wrong, but we'll try it. YouTube.com. Right, let's see what we can do. Does this thing that comes up at the beginning of YouTube these days, does this annoy anybody else as well as it annoys me? It really winds me up, that. Right, it's coming. Right, let's see if we can find it. Alright, let's see if we can find him. Speak 021 is there. He's got 53 subscribers. He'll have another one in a minute. Right. So what did you do? I see them now, but what did you do? Let's have a look. Right, if this will play, it'll be amazing. Right, I'm going to have to talk over this probably, because I've got a feeling the music will be copyright to somebody. But yeah. Oh, that is actually a physical clock, isn't it? How on earth did you do that? That's very impressive. And then it's colorized up as they used to do it. That's exactly how they used to do it. Yeah. That's exactly the way it was done. I'm pretty impressed with that. I quite like that. That's very, very good, that is. I'm liking it a lot. It's brilliant. It's a bit jumpy because it's not jumpy like that in reality. It's just my computer that's having a hard time doing it all. But that is superb. That is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, thanks for that, Spig. Yeah, that is really, really good. I'm impressed now. But yeah, that was superb. I do like that. Very, very good. That I'm super impressed. And I'd like to see photos of the thing, so the actual box, because they were for people who don't know. All the idents and that for the BBC, the clock and the globe and that, were actually physical models. It was done with like little motors and physical models, and the world was a spinning globe in front of a sort of U-shaped mirror, and all these models were put into a funny shaped cabinet, and then there was a camera that was kind of could move up and down, and I think side to side as well, with a light on it, and that was what they called noddy. And depending on which thing you wanted, which thing you wanted actually to go on air, you pressed a button in the control room and this camera moved to point at the relevant little model, shone a light on it, and that's how they did it. It was no computers involved. It was actual physical models and that. And then they did chrome keying or colour separation overlay, as they used to call it, to colourize it. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, that. Very impressed. Christopher says, did you get the video I sent of the Ericsson N1002 telephone in the email? I've not got a video. I got a picture, Christopher, but I've not got the video. Spig says, thanks for the compliments, Andy. I'll see if I can get the model back together and take some pictures in the next few weeks. Yeah, get it back together. Yeah, you could make those, Spig. People would buy those. They would, wouldn't they? I bet there's half a dozen people on here now that would buy one. But yeah, next thing you got to do, Spig, you got to build the whole noddy. Now, what other things were in the noddy? That's what I want. Some things were just caption cards in the noddy. There was the globe and there was the clock that were animated. There was the schools and colleges clock as well that was animated. And I believe BBC One and BBC Two were interchangeable. So I believe there was a BBC One clock in the noddy and a BBC Two clock in the same noddy, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, well, yeah, I shall be interested to see if you can get that back together, Spig. It's brilliant, that. Dominic says, right, I've got to be off now, so we'll see you next time, Dominic. Thanks for joining us today. And yeah, in fact, that might be where we leave it for today, being that I'm going to go and do a little outside thing in just a minute or two as well. As I said before, if you want to get in touch with us at the show, the way to do it initially is through the Contact Us form on our website, because if I give an email out on here, I get a load of spam. But go to the Contact Us form on our website to make the initial contact, then I'll email you back. The website, of course, is andyshed.colepress.net. That's andyshed.colepress.net. www.corepress.net, and all the latest episodes of Andy Shed Live, this very show, will be going on there soon. I think there's about 3 or 4 weeks missing at the moment of the very latest ones, but they are going to be going up there soon, so you'll be able to watch them back on the website. Speak says, "Ha! I don't have the room for the whole noddy. I worked on the schools and colleges clock, but can't work out a way to get the dots to rotate as the original did." The dots didn't rotate, did they? Didn't it? Or am I thinking of the ITV one? I thought the dots just blanked out as it moved around the minute or whatever it was. You know, it started with lots of dots round, and then they got less and less, and you could see it was something going round and covering each dot up in turn. But that may have been the ITV one. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how that was done. Yeah. We'll suss that out. But that's just brilliant. I'm very impressed with that BBC Globe. Might have to borrow that. Or borrow a bit of footage of it. Brilliant, that. But yeah, superb. I really like that. We'll have to see if we can find a noddy somewhere. Yeah, right. Okie dokie. Back to business. I'll say that's about as far, I think, as we go this week. But so if anybody's got any questions or anything, get them in now. Now is your moment. Funky Phipps has got one. He said, "Andy, you mentioned a while ago that you've been making some braided cords. Do you still plan to do it?" Yeah, I was on about it a few minutes ago, probably before you joined us. But yes, the braided cords, it's still planned for these phones down here. And basically what it is, I've not got a bit here that I can show, but you can buy the cords, which are very expensive off eBay, but getting on for 20 quid a cord. Line cords and handset cords for all phones as well. But the actual individual cords that they're made out of, because they're made out of either 3 or 4 individual sort of cloth covered wires, well, you can buy a big roll of that cloth covered wire for about 30 quid from a vehicle wiring manufacturer, and they sell it for wiring up vintage vehicles in all different colours, but it's single cord. You know, it's a single wire. It's got modern insulation on it then, and then it's got the cotton sort of covering it, so it looks proper, but it's actually up to modern standards for vehicles and that. So my plan is to get a big roll of it, the single stuff, and then actually plait my own together. But it's not a normal plait. It's not like plaiting hair, because you've got to do it with 4 cores, not 3. And it took me ages to figure out how it was done. I took one apart and I still couldn't figure out how it was done. I really scratched my head, but I think I've got it figured out now, so it's on my list of things to do quite soon. So you may come along one week and you may find me sat here doing that. Christopher says, "Do you know if a GPO 332 phone uses a dial 10? Good question, Christopher. I've been asked this before, and I don't know a definitive answer for you. I'm not sure exactly when the 332 came out and exactly when the Dial 10 came out, but I think, I'm sorry, when the Dial 12 came out. But I think that the release of the 332 and the release of the Dial 12 were fairly close together. The feeling the 332 came out first though, before the Dial 12. So early 332s probably did have a Dial 10, but I'd not swear to it as a certainty. Of course, Dial 10s, Dial 12s, Dial 21s, and everything that came after the Dial 21 are all interchangeable. So, you know, you can get anything fitted to anything pretty much. But yes, that's a very good question. Certainly some 200 series had Dial 10s, but whether 300 series did or not, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe somebody else might know a bit more about that. If anybody knows, stick it in the chat, please. Christopher says, his 332 phone does have a Dial 10. Well, maybe maybe they did then, Christopher. Maybe they did. I'd certainly not rule it out. Let's put it that way. I'd certainly not rule it out. Cool. Right. I think we'll call that a wrap for today then. Remember, stay tuned after the end of the show if you want to see what's happening in the garden. There will be a separate stream coming up in just a few minutes to show you what's going on in the garden. It won't be a long one though, because it'll all be battery powered, and batteries don't last very long around here, it seems. But yeah, so we'll have a crack at that in just a few minutes time. Thanks to everybody for watching here today. As I said earlier, we will be on next week, but we'll be on later, or possibly be on later than normal. It's all because I'm out at a stationary engine rally next Sunday. But hopefully I'll be back in time to do things normally at 6 o'clock, but just in case I'm not, bear with us, we will be on a little bit later, sort of whenever I get back. So maybe click the little bell icon thing, you know, click subscribe if you've not done so already, but also click the little bell icon for this week so it pings you and tells you when we're on next week. Right, okie dokie, that is about that. So I'm off into the garden now and see how things are getting on. That will be coming up as a separate live stream in just a few minutes. So if you want to see that, close this live stream down and then come back to us in a few minutes time and you should be able to see it. But from me for now, until next week, thanks for watching once again. It's great to see how this show is growing. Please give it a like and a thumbs up and whatnot if you've not done so already, and we'll see